If you believe snakes used to talk, donkeys used to talk, virgins used to give birth, people rose from the dead, then your church has misled you. For example, if you believe that the story about Solomon's temple is about a literal temple that existed years ago and a literal man that existed years ago, then your church has cheated you of a valuable spiritual lesson about yourself. The truth is that the story about Solomon's temple is the story about this temple. It's about what's in between these temples. 1 Kings chapter 6 verse 7 tells us that there was no sound of tools during the building of this temple. That's because it's symbolic of that which is spiritual. Verse 8 tells us that the door to the middle chamber was on the right side of the house. The door to the middle chamber was on the right side of the house. What does this mean? It means that the right side of your brain contains all of the divine feminine attributes. It gives birth through imagination, through feelings and emotions. This is the exact same way everything comes into existence in the mind of God, which is the all. It is a thought in the mind of God that is produced through the feminine force of imagination. Anytime you have a dream, goal, or inspiration, it is spiritually developed in the right side of the brain and given birth to through the middle chamber, which is the harmony and the balance that allows everything to exist in the form that it exists in. Anything that you've ever created or given birth to, manifested in this physical realm, has first been thought of on the divine feminine side of the brain, the right side of the temple. So it takes the right side of the brain, which is responsible for imagination, dreaming, emotion, and then once you have imagined your dream or your goal, whatever you want to manifest, then the right side consults with the left side, which is the masculine side, because the masculine characteristics of the brain, the left side of the brain, are to calculate, configure, to have a scientific approach to figure out if something can actually be created from this imagination, and they work together. These two sides, the female and the masculine, work together, and through that middle chamber, the manifestation is conceived. That is when you actually realize your godlike creative ability to create the same way that God does. The same way that God creates everything within God's mind. Because God uses the same attributes that we use to create everything into existence. There has to be negative and positive. There has to be male and female in order to create with. And all of this exists within each and every one of us. God lives in our vessel. God is not somewhere out there. You don't have to go seek God. You don't have to go to a literal temple. You don't have to go out to a church or a building. If your church isn't teaching you these deep spiritual truths about yourself, I just did. You're welcome. So all of you religious NPCs out there, go on, continue ridiculing me, doing me just like they did Jesus in his day. They ridiculed, they mocked, they refused him, they rejected his teachings, for they know not what they do, and they are all but babes. I love you anyways. And I hope you have a blessed, wonderful life. If you found this video edifying, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Stay blessed.